Ever thought about what it takes to dismantle a skyscraper? Or how about a jumbo jet? It's not just about swinging a wrecking ball.
No, not at all.
It's a whole field of engineering
It is.
called, you guessed it,
Dismantling engineering.
dismantling engineering. And that's what we're diving into today. We've got some insights from RoleCatcher,
Right.
a really comprehensive career platform.
Yeah.
And we are going to break down this surprisingly complex field.
It's a very interesting field, yeah.
What does it really take to be a dismantling engineer?
I think, when people think about taking things apart, it can sound simple, but when you think about it on the scale that dismantling engineers work at, it's a fascinating blend of engineering know-how, problem-solving skills, and just this deep understanding of safety regulations. You're essentially an architect working in reverse. You're taking things apart with precision and care.
Yeah, it's not just demolition.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's get into it.
Oh, yeah.
What does a dismantling engineer actually do all day?
Think of it like this. You are presented with this massive structure, could be anything, and it's reached the end of its life. Your job is to figure out how to take it apart piece by piece, safely, efficiently, and in a way that allows for maximum material recovery and minimal environmental impact.
It's like a giant high-stakes game of Jenga.
Exactly, but
Yeah.
with a lot more math and physics
And
involved.
a lot more danger, probably.
Yeah, there's some inherent risks for sure. But yeah, they have to analyze blueprints, assess structural integrity, consider potential hazards, things like asbestos or lead paint,
Oh, sure.
and then develop a detailed plan for the entire dismantling process.
And this is all before they even, touch a crane, right?
Absolutely. A lot of the work happens up front. So surveying the site, analyzing materials, running simulations, and coordinating with, various teams. It's a very collaborative field.
So it sounds like communication skills are just as important as technical expertise in this role.
100%. You're not just working with blueprints and equations, you're working with people.
Mm-hmm.
Demolition crews, environmental consultants, project managers, and of course, the client. You need to be able to clearly communicate complex ideas and potential risks to a variety of audiences.
Okay, so we're starting to get a sense of the skills needed. But why is this job so important, especially now? RoleCatcher's career guide mentions something about industry trends.
Right. So many industries that rely on dismantling are booming. Manufacturing, construction, renewable energy, they're all going through these periods of growth and modernization. And what that means is more structures reaching the end of their life cycle.
And that means more stuff to dismantle.
Exactly. Take renewable energy, for example. As we transition to wind and solar power, we need to decommission older power plants and oil rigs. And that's where dismantling engineers come in. They're the ones who can ensure that it's done responsibly and sustainably.
So this isn't just about tearing things down. It's about responsible deconstruction with an eye toward reusing and recycling materials.
Precisely. It's a crucial part of moving towards a more circular economy where waste is minimized and resources are kept in use for as long as possible. And that's becoming increasingly important as we all become more aware of our environmental impact.
It's like they're at the forefront of sustainable development in a way.
In many ways, they are, yeah. They're the ones who can see the value in what others might consider waste and find ways to give those materials a second life.
Okay, so we've talked about what they do and why it matters. But what about the day-to-day realities of the job? RoleCatcher's guide didn't shy away from the challenges.
Right. And it's important to be realistic about both the pros and cons. This isn't a desk job. It's physically demanding, can be dangerous, and often involves long, unpredictable hours.
So you're saying it's not for everyone.
It's not for the,
What are we talking about specifically?
Yeah, well, imagine you're dismantling a bridge, right? You could be working at heights, exposed to the elements, dealing with heavy machinery and potentially hazardous materials.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like...
It takes a certain level of both physical and mental toughness to do this job well.
And I imagine those unpredictable hours probably mean a lot of evenings and weekends, working to meet deadlines.
Exactly. Things don't always go according to plan in this line of work. Unexpected problems can arise, weather can cause delays. It's a career that definitely demands flexibility and adaptability.
Okay, so it's challenging work.
Yeah.
But RoleCatcher also highlighted some pretty compelling pros.
Oh, for sure.
Aside from the obvious, like getting to blow stuff up, which I'm assuming is not actually part of the job.
Well, there are definitely more explosions on a demolition site.
Okay, fair enough. So what are we talking about? What are the pros?
Well, for starters, the job outlook is incredibly strong. As industries continue to grow and evolve, the demand for skilled dismantling engineers is only going to increase.
So job security is a big plus. What else?
Well, think about the problem-solving aspect that we touched on earlier. Every project is like this giant, complex puzzle, and you're the one figuring out how all the pieces come apart safely and efficiently. It's incredibly intellectually stimulating work.
Yeah, and probably pretty rewarding, like when you can step back and see a project completed successfully. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Plus, there's a lot of variety in this field. One day you might be dismantling a factory, the next day it could be a power plant or even an airplane hangar. You're constantly learning and facing new challenges. So it's
Keeps you on your toes.
yeah, it's definitely not monotonous.
Sounds like the ideal career for someone who thrives on problem solving and isn't afraid of a little or a lot of hard work.
I would say so. But of course, there's always more to learn. And that's kind of reflected in the typical career path.
Right. RoleCatcher outlined kind of different stages from entry-level positions all the way up to what they call like running the whole show.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
So, starting out, you're likely assisting on projects, learning the ropes from experienced engineers, maybe specializing in a particular type of dismantling or a certain type of structure. You're really just kind of soaking up all that knowledge.
Kind of like an apprenticeship in a way.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Then, as you gain experience and expertise, you might take on more responsibility, leading teams, managing projects, and even developing your own innovative dismantling techniques.
Wow.
Some engineers even go on to start their own firms or consult on major infrastructure projects around the world.
So there's like real potential for growth and specialization in this field.
Absolutely, yeah. It's
Yeah.
not just a, one-size-fits-all kind of thing.
Okay, cool. And speaking of specializing, the guide also mentioned some certifications that can like give you an edge.
Right. Certifications like becoming a certified demolition manager or a certified industrial hygienist. And these, they demonstrate a commitment to professional development and can really open doors to new opportunities. For instance, a deep understanding of industrial hygiene is absolutely essential when you're dealing with hazardous materials, which, is a common occurrence in this line of work.
Right, of course. It's interesting how this career path, it really blends this like hands-on work with these like really specialized areas of knowledge.
It is. It's a very unique blend.
And it kind of makes you think like, how might this field, evolve as technology continues to advance? Because like, we're talking about robots taking over all sorts of jobs these days.
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's something a lot of people in the field are thinking about right now. Automation is definitely something to consider when we're thinking about the future of dismantling.
So are we talking like robot wrecking crews taking over? Or is there still a space for humans in this like future of dismantling?
It's a question a lot of industries are grappling with right now, and dismantling is no exception. I mean, on the one hand, you can easily imagine robots being used for some of the more dangerous tasks, right? Like handling hazardous materials or demolishing, structurally unsound sections.
Yeah, makes sense. Why risk a human worker when you can send in a robot?
Exactly. And with advancements in remote operation and AI, those robots are becoming increasingly sophisticated. But here's the thing. It's unlikely that they'll completely replace human dismantling engineers anytime soon.
Because even the smartest robot still needs someone to tell it what to do.
Precisely. Remember all that strategic planning and problem solving we talked about? That human element is still absolutely essential. Dismantling isn't just about brute force. It's about carefully analyzing a structure, understanding its intricacies, and adapting to unexpected challenges on the fly.
So it's less about robots taking over and more about robots becoming another tool in the dismantling engineer's toolbox.
Exactly. Imagine a future where you're using AI to analyze building data and create 3D models, and then you're using robots to assist with, like, precision demolition, all while you're overseeing the entire process, remotely. It's a future where technology augments human capabilities.
Yeah.
It doesn't replace them entirely.
That's a much more optimistic outlook than I was picturing.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe even a more exciting one, honestly. It's like, what new dismantling techniques could we develop with these like advanced robots at our fingertips?
It's a really exciting time to be in the field, that's for sure. And let's not forget the sustainability aspect we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
As we move towards a more circular economy, dismantling engineers, with the help of, advanced robotics, are going to play a key role in recovering valuable materials and minimizing waste.
Yeah, it's almost like they become like stewards of resources, like finding
Yeah.
ways to give materials a second or even a third life. Right,
Exactly.
that's really cool. Well, I have to say, when we started this deep dive, I thought we were just talking about like tearing stuff down,
Yeah.
but it's clear that this field is so much more than meets the eye.
It really is. It's about careful planning, meticulous execution, and a deep understanding of engineering principles, safety regulations, environmental responsibility. And as technology continues to evolve, those who choose this career path are going to be at the forefront of some really interesting innovation.
Speaking of which, for anyone listening who's now thinking, dismantling engineer, sign me up. RoleCatcher has a ton of resources on this career path, from salary insights to interview tips. They even have this like cool feature that analyzes job descriptions and helps you like tailor your resume to highlight the skills that employers are looking for.
Yeah, it's a really valuable tool for anyone who is considering a career change, or even if they're just starting out on their career journey and they want to, make sure that they're putting their best foot forward.
Absolutely. And on that note, it's time for us to wrap up this deep dive. But before we go, I like to leave our listeners with something to ponder. We've talked a lot about robots and AI, but what about the human element? As this field continues to evolve, what role do you think those uniquely human qualities, things like creativity, critical thinking, and ethical decision-making, will play in the future of dismantling?
That's a fantastic question. And it's one that I don't think has a simple answer. But I think it's something that's worth considering, right? Because, we talk about all the advancements in technology and how they might change the way we do things. But at the end of the day, it's still humans who are making the decisions about what to build, what to dismantle, and how to do it responsibly. And I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. So it's really up to us to make sure that we're using our creativity and our ingenuity, not just to, develop new technologies, but also to make sure that we're using those technologies in a way that benefits, both people and the planet.
Well said.
Yeah.
And on that thought-provoking note, we'll leave you to mull it over. This has been the Deep Dive. Thanks for joining us.